Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here at Trojan Reads, and in this video we're going to be doing a book review of The Trojan War by Barry Strauss. I read one of his other books earlier this year in March, and it was The Death of Caesar, and I found this one to be a really, really good book on the late Republic and obviously the assassination of Julius Caesar. Because of that, I decided to pick up some of his other books, and I picked up The Trojan War. And he has about I'd say, I think it's 8 or 9 or 10 books out, so I was really excited. But however, even though I think I gave Death of Caesar like 4.5 stars, this book was definitely a disappointment compared to that one. To be honest, basically, I'm going to call this almost like Homeric fan fiction, because we almost have literal play-by-plays of the Trojan War as told from the Iliad and some of the other primary source materials from the ancient world. It just read kind of weird, and it was just really strange, basically having whole like chapters and paragraphs just basically these characters from the Iliad doing what they were doing in the Iliad with like a little bit of commentary. And he kind of admits at the beginning, obviously these characters might not have been real, but that doesn't really matter and stuff. But it just reads really bizarrely, to be honest. It's almost just like like I said, a play-by-play of the Trojan War as told by Homer. Just for example, like just for like an example paragraph, let's see this here. Diomedes volunteered and requested Odysseus as a partner. They were so pressed for time that they borrowed their arms and armor from other men who had come better prepared. Both men took swords, while Odysseus also grabbed a bow and Diomedes a shield. Diomedes wore a plain leather helmet, Odysseus an elaborate antique and expensive boar-tusk helmet. As they made their way towards the enemy lines in the black night, they had to step over the corpses, abandoned weapons, and pools of blood. And that is a very, like, kind of standard paragraph through a large portion of the book. It's just, like I said, it just is really bizarre. It's not very, it just doesn't seem very, like a history book almost. It just, like I said, it's almost like reading the Iliad just, like, in a more concise, kind of clear way, I suppose. Now, the book wasn't all bad, however. There were some redeeming qualities, and the aspect that I liked most about this book was that the author includes a lot of primary source material from other Bronze Age cultures, from either the Near East and in Anatolia, such as the Hittites, that would have been around during the late Bronze Age, during the time of the Trojan War, around the 12th century, or beginning of the 12th century BCE. Now, for example, the Hittites are used quite frequently because they would have been the border empire or kingdom that was where Ilium, or where Troy is, would probably have been kind of either, not necessarily a vassal state, but it would have been sort of like a border region in between the Mycenaeans and the Hittites. So material from the Hittites probably extrapolates quite well to the Trojans. For example, like, you know, how they might like go about defending their city in their territory. Other Bronze Age cultures are used as well, such as the ancient Mesopotamians, as well as pharaonic Egypt and stuff. So that's really cool. I like how that material is used, and that's the proper way to do basically extrapolate history of something like the Trojan War, because yes, he does have like a chapter on Homer and, like, you know, what he does well, I guess, you know, history-wise. But he also admits, obviously, a lot of the stuff is anachronistic and that sort of thing. But it really just reads really bizarrely, like I said, the whole play-by-play nature of the book, which is quite a bit. And he uses all the characters from the Iliad as characters in the book. And it's just, when you start adding, like, you know, what they were thinking and feeling, it just comes across really weird, I guess you could say, considering most of these people didn't exist. Is like 90+% sure they didn't exist exactly the way they are portrayed in the Iliad. He even admits, you know, of course they probably did exist, but it doesn't really matter what their names were. You know, these people, like, I don't know, it just comes across really weird, and is really strange. Plus, another thing I really disliked about this book is, I don't know if he read the same Iliad I read and most of my other friends have read, because he somehow portrayed, I'm not quite sure, he somehow managed to perceive Hector as, like, the bad guy and Achilles as, like, the noble good guy. It's really just bizarre. He makes Hector look like some, like, dumb, like, just thug brute, basically, and Achilles is just, like, this noble, like, Achaean. I'm just like, what Iliad are you reading? Like, I've never come across someone who actually cared for Achilles more than Hector, like, as a person. Even if Achilles is a slightly better warrior, basically because he has better armor, that is like, mommy got him. But I don't understand, like, I have no idea really what the whole purpose of this book really is. It's basically, I think it's to describe, if it was more of a discussion on just like late Bronze Age warfare, or warfare of like kind of the Mycenaean age, that would have been better, I guess, and then used a lot of examples from the Iliad to sort of bolster like his arguments. I think that would have been pretty cool. But like his whole argument of just sort of a play-by-play of the Trojan War, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Maybe if you've either never read the Iliad, or you know absolutely nothing about the Trojan War, maybe, I guess. Don't know why you picked this book up if that was the case, but maybe it would do something for you. But yeah, if you know anything about like the Trojan War, I probably wouldn't even, if you read the Iliad, I wouldn't even bother with this book, to be honest. Like, there are some tidbits that are kind of cool, and that's the stuff that actually is good about this book. For example, when he discusses malaria around the site of Troy at Ilium, that's actually really cool, kind of a unique way to look at things. But like I said, those are just sort of like the very like almost like footnotes in the text, that it's not the main part of the book, and it's just, like I said, it just comes across as kind of like amateurist fan fiction, to be honest. I don't know how else to describe it, but anyways, I am going to try some more of his books, because like I said, his book, The Death of Caesar, is the only other one I've read, and I found that one to be really scholarly, clear and concise, remarkable. I learned tons of stuff from that one. So I'm definitely going to give Bear Strauss another chance, because like I said, I think he's got about another probably 8 books that I haven't read yet. So definitely going to give those ones a shot. But yeah, definitely the Trojan War, I'm only going to give 3 out of 5 stars. I don't know, it just really wasn't my thing, I guess. But yeah, don't let that discourage you. If you really want to learn about the Trojan War, you probably could pick this up, especially if you don't want to actually go out and read Homer's Iliad. But whatever you guys decide to read, always remember, read victoriously.